Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what they say. You only fail when you stop trying. You're going to get what you put into it. I mean, that's just for everything. That's for the content side, the trade side, everything. You're going to get what you put into it, So the trade is going to be rough on your body. There's no way around it. You need to be prepared for that. Health is wealth. I try to tell people that all the time.
Take care of your body though, right? Like kneeling pads.
Take care of your body.
Cover yourself, big hats.
Yes. Safety, big on safety. Just make sure you're coming home, because there's just nothing worse than like trying to stress out over a job where, you're coming home and you're hurting yourself, or your back's messed up, or your fingers are sliced on, but it's just like, for what, So just take your time, just come into it level-headed each day. It's going to be a challenge each and every day. You're going to have to just figure out how to just get through that and just get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Hola, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable Trades podcast. I'm your host, Adrian, and I'm an HVAC business owner here in South Texas. Plenty of good conversations to be had with good people and a lot of good stories that maybe you would relate to. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcast, any other location, please leave us a review. We hope to earn those 5 stars, and I really have fun doing this podcast. I appreciate everybody that watches or listens and makes this what it is. I also want to thank our sponsors that help keep this thing going. Jobber is our favorite CRM. I've tried different ones until finding Jobber that kind of controls the chaos that it is running a business and still being in the field and trying to get all the billing, quoting, submitting everything that you need to do outside of the field. And with Jobber, we do our maintenance contracts, we do our invoicing, our quoting, following up with customers to get reviews. That has helped our business a lot. So check out Jobber for yourself, see if it helps your business. You get a 2-week free trial and a special discount if you use the link down below. Vito Pro Pack is also a supporter, and I can tell you right now, even though I see a bunch of competitors coming into the field, they are still hands down the best tool bags that you can buy. You won't want to use any other tool bag. And the thing is, they have so many products now that you can find the one that is perfect for you. So make sure to check out Vito Pro Pack at your supply house or go to vitopropack.com. True Tech Tools has a lot of their stuff as well. Go check out their website to make sure that you can find the perfect bag for yourself. You won't regret it. Diversitech is probably in a lot of y'all's vans. I have almost something from all of those brands in my van ever since we've started. Packard is a big one for us as far as parts. They usually have something that we would need on a day-to-day basis. They are your one-stop shop for everything HVAC, and they have you covered for your everyday HVAC needs. Today's episode is also brought to you by Resideo. Pro IQ Services is your edge on every customer call. It's available on Honeywell Home smart thermostats and designed to help HVAC pros turn everyday installs and customer calls into lasting business relationships. From branded visibility and remote configuration and controlled custom system alerts, it's a full-service device that helps pros streamline labor, increase customer loyalty, and generate leads. For more information, please check out resideo.com/proiq. Jason, what is up, man? I'm excited to have you on the show.
Yes, sir. Very honored to be here. How you doing, Adrian?
I'm doing pretty well. How is it in Cali? You're over there. Are you by Sacramento or somewhere over there?
Yep, Northern California, Sacramento. That's where I'm born and raised. That's where my shop's based out of. That's where I lived majority of my life. Just recently, in the last year, I moved about 45, 50 minutes outside of Sacramento to a town called Sutter Creek, population 200 people. So different change, definitely different pace than Sacramento, but for sure cool.
Yeah, so you got out of the inner city. Our area is nothing like California, but it is a bigger, growing area. And I recently, 6 or so years ago, moved out here to the countryside. I like it better now that I'm older or getting older versus, when I was younger, I always wanted to be in the city, downtown, stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm the same way. My early 20s, just running around downtown Sacramento. I grew up in a town called Fair Oaks, if anybody knows where that's at. And yeah, we got everything, just countless restaurants, options, just for everything. Out here, it's, like I said, limited. We got a handful of restaurants, nowhere to shop, no supply stores. I got one Ferguson down the road, but all of my business, everything I do takes me back to Sacramento anyway.
It takes me like 30 minutes or so to just to get to a location or just to get near somewhere or a supply house or something like that. But
Yeah,
I do like the isolation, I'll be honest. And it's nice
for
after like
sure.
a hectic day at work to be out here and kind of relax.
Just a low key mellow. Yeah, right where I'm at. I mean, I could just step outside my front door here and just there's trails because I live basically like on a big mining shaft area where they did a lot of gold mining back in the day, and so it's just all land that you're not allowed to build on or anything. So it's all just state owned land. So it's just forest and trails. It's just perfect. Take the dog out there, grab a coffee, chill out.
I will admit, you guys have great weather. I always hear about that
Yeah.
because here it gets like 115, 118, and it's like all year round. And
Disgusting.
we didn't even have a winter this past season. Like it was 60. I think we got down to 50 at the most, and that was it.
Yeah,
So
same here. I like to snowboard a lot, and man, it was just no season. I had a couple free weekends. I was trying to get out there, but there was just nothing up. I'm like only about an hour and a half from Tahoe, and it was just not the season for it. Just skipped out.
yeah, it's one of those. And we're right now, it's raining. So I was telling people it hasn't even like really kicked in yet for the summer calls because we do AC all year round, but like it's mild stuff until summer hits and then it gets like really crazy. But we've had these late storms right now. So right, even today, it's like raining like crazy. So eventually it will pick up and it's going to get pretty hectic.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, we've been hitting those. Yeah, I think the first. It's funny going from the colder season into the heat. Like the first 80-degree day was hot, and then the first 85, 90. But then in a month from now, we'll be crying. We'll be begging for 90-degree days. Because it'll just be 100-degree. Constantly.
Yeah.
So just easing into it. Got to stay hydrated. I spend a lot of time on the roof, just like we all do.
Yeah. So you do a lot of like commercial, I think heavier commercial than I do. If you want to quickly kind of introduce yourself before we get too far,
Yeah.
like who you are, what you do, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So my name's Jason Gamboa. You guys can find me at JasonOnTheJob across all social medias, all platforms, right? I've been in the HVAC industry 6 years now, just hit my 6-month anniversary at my company, EMCI, Engineer Mechanical Contractors. We're in Northern California. So I've only been at one company. It came from just being like a labor general for like a larger general contractor. Was there for a couple years, right? And then COVID hit and everybody, things changed for everybody. So this project came to an end in 2020. They didn't know what was going to happen. So I didn't follow this general contractor to the next job, but the mechanical contractor that was on site that I didn't really know, I just worked with them a little bit, right? Just kind of help them coordinate things. I was like, hey, are you guys hiring? And he said, yeah, here's his number. Come by to the office, and boom, got hired that next day. Didn't know the difference between a package unit and a split system. Didn't know nothing about it and just kind of stuck to it and built off, started off doing sheet metal for the first about year and a half, 2 years. Like I said, so mostly commercial, light industrial, commercial install, right? So I started off doing sheet metal just with the guys. And then that slowly transitioned in like about year 2 or year 3 to the refrigerant piping side, the controls, startup commissioning side. And then about year 3 or 4, my boss came like, hey, what do you think about getting a van, gas card? So that wasn't something I was looking into, when I applied there. I didn't think it was in the cards for me at that moment, but just working on it, staying at it, getting the work van and whatnot, kind of just building off that. And then now basically me, 3 other guys, we're kind of the crew of 4 people, just do a ton of Daikin, VRV, some VRF stuff. So a lot of Daikin, LG, primarily install. In the last year, I've been transitioning, trying to get the service work I can, because that's just really what I think is going to teach you the most. Definitely seeing older equipment, not just working on brand new, fresh stuff out of the box. Because, like on a lot of the install stuff that I do, when some things aren't working, when bad components, I just had a unit just come off the truck, it was completely smashed. You send it right back. Warranty, versus service. I want to be able to definitely round out my skills on that. Having the sheet metal, just commissioning side, air balance, I do. Trying to just wrap up with some service work over the next few years for sure.
Yeah, and I've seen some of the stuff that you were doing over there, and again, like that's bigger stuff than I work on. How did you learn that kind of stuff? Did you go to any kind of trade school or did you learn on the job?
Yeah, no trade school for me, just kind of learned on the job. So I've always been just like, my pops is in, union tile. He does union tile, right? So he's been in the trade my entire life. So always just helping him out. My brothers are in the trades as well. So we're all kind of been just working on stuff around the house, doing whatnot. So no technical school for me. Just like I said, I started day one and just luckily in my company, they do send us to a ton of training, so I've been to trainings just all over the country. Just, sometimes they're only 2 or 3 days and you might not get as much out of these trainings as you might think, right? But you definitely, if you know, give it your all and just kind of focus, you pick up off that for sure. So just commissioning trainings and just basic service stuff, VRV is kind of a whole different ball game. So just kind of getting
So,
into that a little bit.
so your dad did tile, and your siblings, were they in any specific trade too?
We're all just like about a couple years apart, my brothers. So he does tile. They all do tile too. I
Oh,
just,
okay.
me and my dad are too similar. Like I know it's funny you work with your dad. That's super cool. Me and my pops were too alike. So I think we would just butt heads too much. I, you know, so I
So
didn't go the tile route.
are you the oldest, middle? Where are you at?
So I have step siblings, right? But they've been my step siblings like since I was 8 or 9 years old.
Okay.
So, you guys know how that is, right? So I got a blood sibling, my brother. He's just a military. Went the military route. My two older brothers in the middle, they're doing, like I said, just tile, granite, big stuff, union stuff in Sacramento. And then, yeah, a couple sisters as well. One younger sister. So, and then one older sister as well. So,
So
yep.
you're in the middle?
I'm like the second to youngest, almost the
Oh,
youngest second. We're right in about the
you're one
middle.
of the
Yeah.
younger ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
which is funny because I have two siblings, right? I have a middle brother who worked for like a day or two and then quit because he didn't like it. So went out the door, but he has a great job at now at the grocery store. Like he kind of runs it, kind of trains. He does videography, which I mean we'll get into that kind of stuff later, but he does a lot of that stuff for that company. He gets paid really well. So he turned out really good.
Awesome.
My youngest brother, which is funny because you're one of the younger ones. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like me and him have different character. Well, we all do have different characteristics of my dad. So my
Yeah.
youngest brother is the one that cannot be left alone with my dad on a job site because they will butt heads like every
Yeah.
single time. It never fails. So my brother likes to do things a little more OCD, which I'll back off. I'll let him do his thing unless we're pressed for time. Then I might have to interject, but do your thing. My dad is there like upset the whole time. He wants to do things one way. My brother wants to do things another way. And I'm there in the middle like, hey guys, like, can we just get the job done? Right. So
Yeah.
that I've experienced that. So my youngest brother's the one that butts head with him, but they get along outside of work great. It's just at work.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I mean, I'm just when we're done with this, I'm actually going to go over there and help him. We're going to resurface. He has a flagpole. It's been up like my whole life, but the last like 5 or 10 years, it's been rusted. So now we're going to go help him out, resurface it, borrow a scissor lift from the shop. So get a scissor lift across the front yard in his house. Yeah.
No, that's nice. I got as soon as this rain clears up, hopefully tomorrow, I need to go finish putting in a mini split for my dad in his little warehouse and get that going. So it
Yeah,
helps
nice. I just
when
wrapped up.
it helps when your kids do AC because my brother does their AC work too, and then I'm over here putting in their mini split.
Nice, nice. I know. I was watching the pod the other day with you and Jake, HVAC Nights, and we were talking to him. I was like, over the years now, and especially now that I have social media now, a lot of friends and family, everybody wants, free, just ridiculous hookups, right? And I'm like, dude, at this point, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa,
Yeah.
they're going to get the hookup and, get, same or next day service. But my sisters are calling me or my brothers, they can sweat it out for a little bit for sure.
Yeah, and I've told people because the conversation we had on nights was like, I just feel like I always have issues when I do friends or family.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Relatives, like something always goes wrong, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe you should just call somebody else because this is not going to work out.
The tools, everything that goes into our trade,
Yeah.
people don't necessarily see what goes into it. You're bringing a $2,000 worth of tools in there and 10 years of experience, and they still want to hook up or,
The main thing with that is like, the one thing I hate, because we struggle with it early on, and I do have to explain to customers sometimes, like as far as like how we our procedures, how long it takes, and Because the one thing that I always get upset about is like the longer I've been doing this, the quicker I do jobs. And that's just because I'm getting better at it. And that happens with everything, whether it's a repair, a compressor change out, maintenance, like any little thing. And it's like, I don't want to be punished for doing something quicker or something better than the guy that takes all day to work on it. Like I'm still going to
Yeah.
charge what I charge. And it's like it's almost like a set rate, or like if you do quotes, you know, cause we do more time and material, like it's the same outcome. I get to do it quicker. I shouldn't be punished. So there's always that conversation with
Yep.
customers and trying to make sure they understand, like, hey, if we can get it done quicker, you know, we'll get out of your hair. It's more of an inconvenience if we do take all day. I would like to get you up and running and get out of your hair, but like I'm not giving you guys like half price or whatever it is, right? Like there's no way around
No,
it. Like there's a lot of overhead, there's a lot of material that goes into it. Brazing rods right now are like crazy priced. Everything seems
ridiculous.
to everything seems to be going up, never coming down, and that's just the way it goes.
Yep. Yep. That's one thing. Yeah. Prices are not going down. Everybody keeps like holding their breath for it. And you just have to price it accordingly, really, because things aren't looking too good right now for sure.
Yeah, and the whole gas thing, you brought up the gas thing, like we haven't put in a trip charge. Like we're trying to be very transparent with pricing, trying to be strictly time and material. So the way we get around it is like we charge for the time that it takes to get there. That covers our gas and stuff like that, right? So
Absolutely.
I do have customers that argue with me that as well. And I'm like, look, when you put the call in and we're on the way, we're clocked in. When we finish the job, we will clock out. Like our trip leaving is not going to be included. Like it's just a trip to get there. I have to make sure they understand that, because I get questions, and those are the customers, unfortunately, that I have to drop, because if they're going to question things like that, you know, just call
They're
the
going to
next
question
guy.
everything.
Yeah, just call the next guy, because yeah, I have one right now that's like has like $2,000 worth of unpaid invoices, and he's like, "Well, I need to call you because we need to adjust some invoices." And I'm like, I'm not adjusting shit. I was like, we're not doing any more calls for you. And I had a whole thing. I was like, and he said he was still going to call me. That was like a few days ago. He never called. So I was like, I'm just going to take that as a loss. And I told him, I don't want to pile up any more unpaid invoices. You guys are not paying, like, because I'm still getting, I had a call yesterday. I was like, I'm not answering the damn phone. Even him or a few others are like, well, can we have only the time that you're there billed as like the labor? And I was like, look, I'm trying to do you a favor, because if I start charging you for like the gas or the trip fee or service charge, whatever there's different ways to put it on there. It's going to cost you more, because sometimes I'm super close and sometimes they're super far. And if I charge you like $50, $100, whatever it is to get there, it's going to cost you more in the end. So I'm like, you pick and choose, but I try to be
Yeah.
transparent with the way we price.
Yeah, it can't be charging, having different formulas for different customers. The rate is the rate, the formula is the formula, and that's just
Yeah.
kind of how the business kind of calculates for sure. You just have to, and like I said, those are the same people that are going to want, you're going to give them two options. They want more than just two options. They want the absolute cheapest, and so you're right. That's just being in the blessed position to be able to kind of just pick and choose,
Well,
Definitely. That's one of my main things. I mean, I get offers to do some stuff and it's just like, you're going to go scope it out and that's like the thing. You can't be, when you're just starting out, you will go chase all of those little tiny crumbs and crackers. But one of the big things, which is tough, is passing on something, passing on a
oh yeah.
15, $20,000 just job or whatever. And you have to just walk away just because, whether it's the customer or just the application, just, you got to know when to fold them.
Yeah, we had to learn that when we started, but that's always, and it's always the hardest part, because like you said, like you're not, you just started out, whether technician, owner, and you're like, we need that money, or we're not making money, or whatever it is, and you're trying to scrape up what you can. That's why I usually tell people, if you start a business, like try to have a safety net, some money put aside or something, just to kind of hold you over, because you're going to find a lot of crap work when you start, and they might not pay much. Like there's different scenarios, but yeah, we had that issue in the beginning, like trying to take on too much stuff that we didn't like doing, and just trying to get paid, and everybody goes through that one that I had to let go recently. It's funny because, like I said, he mentioned, oh, we need to talk about adjusting some of these invoices, and like you said, once they start with one, they're going to keep doing it, they're going to keep questioning.
Yeah.
I had already sat with him couple months ago, like to go over some of the invoices they were questioning. And I ended up giving them a discount, because one of our guys messed up and charged a part that wasn't used. And they told the manager, I mean, the manager's watching. I always tell them, everybody's always watching you. So the manager already knew I only needed, these parts. Why did you charge me this other part? And it was a mistake because our senior tech did the invoice for the junior tech, and he didn't know that they had taken it off. So that was a simple mistake. I was like, dude, we're not trying to screw you over. It was just a miscommunication. So I fixed it. I gave him a discount on that one. So now I'm like, you're basically trying to get another discount out of me if you want more adjustments. Like, I went over all the invoices with you. Everything else was legit. Like, I can't keep doing that.
You don't get to just adjust it after the work is complete, after everything's running nicely. You want to adjust the price. That doesn't work like that. How many guys are in your company? How many like rigs you guys got out running around out there?
So right now we have, let's see, 3 trucks. We have 6 vehicles out right now.
Okay, is that mostly service?
Yeah, we are a primarily service company. So we do a lot of repairs. We do change outs. We don't do like fresh construction installs, stuff like that. We do like change outs, service work, and maintenance is a big part of it now. So we have 6 vehicles and 7 technicians. So one of them is a helper. And then we have another helper that is supposed to come by, but I'm still trying to see, like, because he mentioned he was going to go to trade school. I was going to hope that he does both at the same time, but we'll see what he decides, because if he's not available, then I got to hire somebody else. Granted, started with, like I said, just me and my dad, and then my brother came in later. So used to doing everything ourselves. So now we have actual guys, and they've been great. They ask questions. Nowadays, it's a little different. They ask Chat GPT sometimes, but they get the work done.
No, for sure. Yeah, that's how you were asking earlier, like how I got into or how I learned it. I would say, yeah, no trade school for me. I mean, but like being on a younger generation, I mean, like you can learn anything on YouTube. I mean, I've watched your videos, AC service tech Craig. I mean, if you haven't watched Craig's videos and learned something, then, you need to for sure. So just a ton of just online stuff. I mean, now it's super cool being able to be in the creator space, because like, now it just opened up my doors and connections to so many other guys. Like I said, like what I would consider super techs, now I can actually just message them, or even if you're not, a creator, you can just message some of these guys, and majority of these guys will get back to you. I mean, a lot of guys run service just through their Instagram direct message, just helping friends out, people that, support the cause and just, want the help, they want to learn for sure, because there's a lot of guys that don't really want to learn, they join the trade, they come from wherever I can tell them all the time when they started my company, I can just tell a guy day one when they're going to fizzle out. And most of the time I'm right. They will fizzle out like in 6 months. It's long, it's hard, commercials. Sometimes we're starting at 5 a.m. and sometimes we might start at 5 a.m. a couple hours down the road, so some guys just aren't, I guess, built like old school. I know I'm younger, but I just kind of, like I said, maybe it's from my pops or whatever, but I kind of feel like I come from like the old school. Just if you're not early, you're late, you need to have your tools, be prepared. People always ask, like, what's the number one thing I could do to be ready? Like, first of all, have all of the tools, all the tools and show up early, and ask questions. I used to annoy my foreman, like with how many questions I would ask. And yeah, I would even say prefix, like, hey, this is probably a stupid question, but like they say, there's no stupid questions, because, those are just those little things. If you want to pick it up, if there's no conversation going on, you just need to be asking questions or learning something for sure. Chat GPT, I mean, it definitely has its uses, I will say.
Yeah, we have guys, and I will say, I didn't know what to think, because he came from like a nursing background, like working in hospitals. I didn't know what to think. I was like, okay, you want to try it out? Let's try it out. And it's a relative, so giving him a chance. And he's dove into it. He's one of our better technicians now. Comfortable like having him do a lot of the service calls. And recently he started doing like compressor changeouts, taking the lead more on like walk-in boxes where we're kind of changing out the whole system. Like he kind of takes the lead a little bit. I just make sure everything's like done right. But if he can do it, we let him do it. And I didn't expect that, but it's all the mindset, the work ethic, how much you want to learn, because he is the one that is like always looking up stuff, always calling tech support and learning as much as he can. And then I just go in there with like, hey, just check, just based on experience, because it's a little bit different. Like, these are the callbacks that we usually get. So just make sure you check this, this, and this, or there's a shorter way to check this, or shortcut here, whatever I can. And then just double check everything and make sure everything's good. And, talking to the customer, he's really good about customer service too. So that's a very important part that not a lot of technicians think about.
No, absolutely. I mean, across technicians, across the trades in general, like you need to be able to communicate. We just had a meeting just like back at our shop with a bunch of the guys, like just on communication. You need to be able to communicate with other foremen. I mean, like especially on a commercial job site, like you need to be like a likable person to be able to deal with these other personalities, to coordinate things to get the project moving. You can be awkward, but you just need to be able to get your point across and be able to say what you need. Because if, a closed mouth does not get fed, so you need to be able to speak up and be able to communicate and make these people trust you and understand that you're coming from a place of knowledge. And, just like you're saying, I mean, my foreman, who kind of just still basically similar to you, kind of comes around, checks all the bases. He's been in he's 65. He's still just crawling around the attic. He is still ripping. Yeah, he comes around and says, hey, this is what I've seen before. Go ahead and double check this. And, all the time, it's one thing where I'm like, I got this 100%. He's like, oh, this one thing you might want to check right here. And sure enough, that's just how you learn. Like I get, you just build it, just building blocks, building. You never can like try to grasp it all like in a year. I mean, just in the scope that I do, started off sheet metal, going, through the ranks that I have, there's still a completely other, I've never touched boilers,
Yeah.
some chillers and stuff. That's just, there's endless routes and options you can go in the HVAC trade. And that's just, I guess, what I love about it, really. The ability to find the information or figure it out is really what the skill is, not knowing all the information, because it's going to continue to change, just how to find the information.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was one thing my dad like drilled into us is because, there was times where I got into this trade and you have those difficult days or difficult calls and you're just like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, or I don't know what to do here, or you panic or you feel defeated, right?
Yep.
But my dad would always tell me, if you don't know the answer, you better find the answer. So he's like, that's the way I always did it. Him as a food service tech, he used to be like an electrician and stuff. Like he's always learned new things. That's what I saw growing up, is how he transitioned into food service and being a hot side tech, and like just always with textbooks, always going to trainings, always learning, always like taking it in, and then building that company that he worked for, or that he got an opportunity. It was like a job opening his friend told him about. He's like, screw it. I'm handy. I do electrical work. I can probably do that. So when he got into it, like I said, he learned as much as he could, did all the hard work, and then started to run that company basically and made it what it was, won awards, technician of the year, all that kind of stuff. Like he did amazing. And then now he does this business, right? So that's something I always got from him. And he said, the main thing you can always tell the customer, or, because he was always about honesty and stuff. He's like, if you can't find it, if you have an issue that you are not familiar with, you're getting stuck, whatever it is, go find the answer. Go find a manual, go find tech support, go talk to somebody, go do something, and then come back and you'll fix it. You can't give up on little things or like things that are uncomfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable a lot in this trade. It's how you deal with it and get over it. And it's okay to ask for help. Like I had that problem when I started. Like I was like, I should know this. I should be able to do this. I'm running my own calls. I should be able to know everything, but you don't. You have to call tech support, a mentor, or look it up online, whatever it is nowadays. But like you have to be able to find the answer. Like you said, it's not about you knowing everything. It's about how do you get there? How do you find the answer? How do you overcome that part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what they say. You only fail when you stop trying, right? I mean, if you can simply say, it's 150 degrees in this attic, I can't figure it out. It's 4:30, it's Friday, like screw this, I'm going home. There's guys that there's guys that will do that, right? But just being able to just figure it out. Sometimes there's always those things where you're almost are on the verge of saying, screw this. And then like you just read that paragraph one more time, and then it's like, oh, it's right there, boom. Like, and I'll even almost kick myself in the butt because you're like, man, I almost just blew a head gasket. And luckily I didn't, because boom, it's right there, easy fix, and then bam, add that to the tool bag. It's like, now repeatable, not knowing it, or having to call on the same things, then that could be annoying or raise concern. Right?
And that's all I tell my guys. I'm
asking
like,
one question, that's what it's about.
Yeah. And I tell my guys, if you make a mistake, if you do anything, and I've told my brother this when he started with us, I was like, if anything goes wrong, you screw it up, I can fix it. I was like, don't worry about that part. Like, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to screw up. But please don't make that same mistake over and over and over, or don't rely
Yep.
on somebody. If I'm trying to teach you, I don't want to hear the same question 10, 20 times. Like, you need to learn that. So I've always told my guys, well, now my guys, but before it was my brother when he started, if you break anything, you mess anything up, like, it can be fixed. Like, I can fix
Yep.
it, or I can tell you how to fix it. And that was something that I had to learn too, is like, not to be afraid of certain things. Is like, because I burned holes through copper. I've made leaks worse.
Yep.
I've burnt boards. I've shorted out things plenty of times. Like, you're not gonna know, and you're gonna mess up here and there. It's just common, and that's what I'm trying to tell my dad right now, because I think he was spoiled a little bit in starting with me and my brother, because we had the same work ethic as he did. I was really good starting out, but I credit my trade school. I think I had a good trade school and a couple of good mentors, and I was always that guy that I just didn't want to be embarrassed in front of a customer. I didn't want to be like, I don't know how to do this. Like, that was the last thing I wanted to say. That kind of like stubbornness is what fueled how much I learned and how quickly I learned. And it was a lot of work. I mean, I wanted to be out with my friends, and I was it more in the beginning because I didn't treat it as serious as I do now. But like, I still took the time to take books home and manuals home and just read them and figure it out, because I'm like, man, I struggled today. I don't want to struggle like tomorrow. So that was always it's like a work ethic thing, a mindset. I'm trying to tell him, like, you had that, but now you have guys that are really green. I was like, give them some time, and they're doing really well now.
Yeah. It's all, I mean, it really is like the work ethic, the mindset. I remember, like I said, like just in the 6 years that I've been here, like the first couple years when I was in the trade is where when I was still just kind of running amok, being a little bit, just not focusing full on the opportunity that I had. Right.
Yeah.
And then as I started to focus more on my craft, organically, the opportunities and responsibilities just grew, you know what I mean? And along that comes the pay, so being able to, it's all about the retention, just the books. I mean, that's one thing my sensei will always tell me is just to grab the books. Sometimes on a commercial job, like if we're installing like, multiple of the same unit, one of those books needs to go back into your truck. And so just right now under my seat, I got a stack of books. Some of them I don't look at, rarely ever, but man, it is nice to have that book when you do need it, and just to be able to flip through it. Every time we get a new guy, we start to just, here, you can take this now, and just.
Yeah, for the longest time, I had crates of like manuals and even like some stuff, some material that I had from trade school that I thought would help me. Just for the longest time, I just recently, like a few years ago, took it out because I was like, I don't think I need it. But it was helpful for my first few years, right? Just having it there in the van, and I that's stuff that I did too. And even recently, because like you said, we have a lot of changes going on with refrigerants or just new equipment. There's equipment that we're installing that we've never seen before. A lot of guys are scared of it or confused by it. So I'll keep a manual in the van for those kinds of equipment, right? So there's been times where I'm working with, it could be an older technician or one of our new guys, and they have a question. I'm like, have you read the manual? I was like, if you don't, just go get one I have it in my van, go get it, read it real quick. And I'll tell them it specifically says in there how to do this startup or how to do this test or whatever it is.
Yep.
And it's very helpful to take, like you said, if you're doing, because we do a lot of the same equipment. So after a couple of installs, I'll just take I'll keep one of the manuals and have it for my backup. Or nowadays it's a little easier. You can go online, get a PDF or whatever it is. And I used to have an app, I need to do it again, where I had like all my PDFs. I lost it. So I lost all those manuals. But at some point I had like in my Apple, one of the apps, like it held a bunch of PDF manuals for myself. And that's how I kind of stored them for a while.
Yeah, no, that's definitely solved for sure.
You said 5 years, right? Is how long you've been doing it?
6 years. So 6 years. It was like last month or so. Yep. Last month or maybe the month before. Yep. 6 years.
So how long did it take you to be comfortable, like where you're at right now? Like, I know we're constantly pushing ourselves, but like when you felt kind of comfortable, like, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm pretty good at it. And, that kind of feeling.
Really? Like I said, like right around that year 3 when my boss, I was not asking, I didn't go in there asking for a service vehicle, or install vehicle. That's really what I do, like I said, mostly. But just when that opportunity kind of came, I was like, he must really see something in me, And so I need to really, that was right around where I just said, I'm going to put my head down on this and really just dial in. And so that was right around when I started, getting a couple helpers under me, starting to kind of show the things that I know. And, that's when you can kind of see things come full circle, is when you see somebody coming up and they're asking you the same questions that you used to have, and then you actually have the answers for them now. So then that's kind of just like proof of concept that you are learning, right? So just
Yeah.
every time when I would come across something and I could think back to, okay, that thing like whooped my butt, and now I know exactly what it is, I can just show them, hey, Josh, come over here. I want to show you real quick. Don't forget to flip this dip switch, or we're going to have some issues. So I would say like right around the 2 or 3 year mark. And that's just the main thing too, is like to get comfortable, you need to make those screw ups, right? Like, I mean, whether it's burning something up, shorting something out, drilling into something, just laying out, whatever the issue is, you have to learn from that, because those moments, like you said, like doing things in front of a customer and being able to having to tell the customer I don't know, or maybe doing the wrong thing in front of the customer, that sucks, right? But also like on the commercial side, when you're working with 10 guys or whatever, and you do something, your coworkers will roast you too. And, or like, not that they're really mad at you, but like, man,
Yeah.
like you screwed this up. So now we have to either redo it or stay here hours later, so just being able to hold yourself accountable and just go for it, stand behind what you're doing, because, people, especially on the content side, posting your stuff, there's no shortage of people going to tell you what you should have. And so when 99% of them are trolls, there is that 1% of guys who do comment, and you're like, oh, wow, I actually, that does make sense. That's like one thing to really develop in the trade. You have to be able to take, that constructive criticism, that feedback, because I mean, you're
Well,
not the best. Nobody here is the best.
yeah, and I've always told guys, because the way I would work, even when I started and all that, and it's because I did deal with, in my space at least, like restaurants, dealing with managers and stuff like that. Like some of them will question everything, some of them will look at everything, some of them want a full detailed explanation. Like you're gonna run into different kinds of personalities and different kind of managers, all sorts of people in this trade. But what I always tell people is always act like someone's going to inspect your work, or somebody's like over your shoulder. Cause I've had it plenty of times where that physically happens. But like, if you just think that way and you're like, okay, I did everything correctly, I did everything, it looks good. That's something that some of our guys had to learn too. Cause like they would leave little messes here and there. And it's like that one particularly that we got in trouble for, that guy is a real stickler for stuff. So you can bet that he had sent us photos of like little things, like little wrappers left behind, little stuff, whatever it was. So we had to tell our guys, hey, make sure you look over everything after you're done. Like just make sure, like you said, turn your disconnects on, make sure everything's on, make sure it's running to temperature, and your trash is picked up, because there are guys like that. So that was always a big thing for me, is like trying to make sure that I did the best possible work, even if nobody sees it, because you know what you did. And if anybody, and another thing is like another company might go out there, right? I always took for granted that I was the only technician that this customer was going to call, and I would have them for life. And yeah, I do such good work that they would never call somebody else. Well, like I had a realization, I had to see that they were, there's second opinions, there's cheaper pricing, there's other factors that go into it. If you screw up, competitor, another technician, another competitor, like you said, maybe somebody online, they will be quick to call you out and talk down on you.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you have to make sure that you give no reason for them to say anything bad about you.
Yeah, I know. I was just when you were saying that, it makes me think back to that story, like when you were talking about those guys trying to call you out for doing the wrong compressor, and you just being able to just come back to with the facts and the numbers and this, the support behind it. Like that's what matters, because yeah, you're right. Like these other companies, I was just talking to Ewok about it. He's in the Inland Empire area. Like the competition is it's everywhere out there. So, guys will lowball you or lowball the customers and do all this. And, they're just not nearly as ethical as, people like yourself are or whatever. So you're just going to get shady. You just have to really just, be careful, I guess, from there.
Yeah. And I tell my guys that now, like, hey, I take a ton of pictures. I mean, now it transitioned into content creation, but I'm like, you should still do it just for yourself. Like take those pictures before and after, take those readings and document everything, because if like a day later, a week later, a customer questions something, or a second opinion, like in my case, tries to call us out, hey, I got all my documentation and you can do whatever you want with that information. I already gave up on trying to fight back or argue. That gets me nowhere. So I don't go that
Hmm.
route, but I provide my documentation and let the customer decide whatever they want to do. At
Yeah.
this point, I don't need all that extra work. So I not that
It's
I
not
turn it
worth the
down, but
headache. I mean, there's good customers out there. There's people that I
yeah,
love to work for. There's some.
not that I turn it down, but I don't fight for that work, right? If someone else wants it
Yeah.
that desperately and they're trying to make up stuff and go for it, be my guest.
Yep. One thing I was going to ask you. So we kind of both. I seen that you were just went into your service, your new truck now, right? And so I was just seeing how you kind of like that because I started off in a van too. So my first like year and a half, I got a brand new Mercedes van. Like the tall one you could stand up in it. I loved it. Had it fully outfitted. Well, then one day when I lived in Sacramento, I had it just moved it from my dedicated closed off parking spot out to the street, which was like a 40 feet just to work on my personal truck. And some lady came in DUI from out of state,
Oh,
smashed into the back of my service truck, completely totaled it. And I ended up getting a truck from that. But every day, like in the last, so I've had this truck now about a year and a half. Man, every day I have to crawl back into my box or whatnot. I'm like, I wish I had my van back. I mean, it doesn't even have like maybe not even half the storage that my van did. And I was just curious if you're already experiencing it. Like, God, I know you're transitioning from having to carry
yeah.
everything, right? But just for me now, like certain tools and equipment, certain bags don't even fit in my side boxes. So it's just like killer. I was just curious what you've been
So you
experiencing so far.
you didn't have a choice on that?
No, I did have a choice, right? But he's like, I can get you another van or I can get you a brand new truck. And so I was like, the truck
Yeah.
does look cooler and it looks more,
Yeah.
but just after, just like truly, after working out of it now, I'm like, geez, I do wish I love just being able to just
So
throw anything back there. If those doors
yeah.
closed, I know I'm good to go 80 miles an hour. But now it just
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, mine has to be covered, and refuse personally to get a camper or anything enclosed. Like
Mhm.
I don't see the point. My dad has one like that, and I'm like, I'm not crawling in there to get stuff. Like if there's anything
Mm-mm.
in there, right? But I think he utilizes the outside doors, like you said, but he crams them too. So I had looked at a few different options, whether it was like the deck system, which I'm not like completely against. It's just I already had another system in mind. So right now it's like I just finished it. I've only worked out of it a few days now, but it's all
Yeah.
pack out. So what I'm trying to do is make everything accessible without having to get in the truck. So everything
Mm.
is like drawers, everything is like open, like toolboxes I can open from the sides. And we're going to see how that goes. But what I realized in the past year or so is like I didn't need half of the stuff on my van just because I'm not doing all the jobs, right? So like when we do installs, when we do compressors or change outs, I'm still working on the garage, but I have like an area where I started just having that install stuff there. So like my install bag is there, my recovery machine is there. The vacuum, I do carry it more because sometimes I'll do on the spot repairs, but like a lot of the like recovery tanks, everything I used to carry 24/7, I kind of have it on a
Standby.
as needed basis for like those kinds of jobs, right? So when I was cleaning it out recently, like the other week, I realized I carry a lot of like extra parts that like I thought I might need, but it's like once in a blue moon type of deal. So I was like,
Mhm.
once I eliminate that, I got most of the stuff into the truck. So we'll see how it works out. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm doing that transition where it's like I only run certain calls, or like if the guys are busy, I'll run out and do some of their calls. The only thing is because like my dad kind of pushed me into that, and he's stepping back. Like I've been telling him for a long time. He finally like is like, you know what? Maybe I should take some time off here and there, kind of let you do what you want to do with it. And so he's taking a step back. So he's like, I think that's why he got me to buy the truck. He's like, just take
Yeah.
over already, right?
Uh,
And
so he does. He's pushing for you. He's like ready for you just to whenever you raise your hand and say, "Look, I'm ready just to take the reins," and you can chill out,
yeah.
or you already you're already kind of like really there. I mean, what parts do you feel like you need to work on before you are ready to be the lead man? Like
Well,
your
see,
company
this was the hard part that I always tell people is like I do a lot of owner things like behind the
already.
scenes, right? The billing, invoicing, everything as far as like logos and advertisements and dealing with certain customers. Like I do a lot of that stuff since the beginning, but I'm still an employee. Like I still get paid a certain salary. Like I don't have
Hmm.
control of the money, and I never wanted to. And this was something that I kind of told him, like, I don't want to be a part owner. Like, just, I want to work for you and see how it goes and go from there. And of course, it's my dad. He always said it's my business. So I always wanted to help and do more. So I always did things. And he always stuck me with the paperwork and billing and all that kind of stuff. Right. So I've always done it. In the beginning, I told him, don't put my name on anything. Like, I felt irresponsible and I was like, please don't.
Yeah.
So I've gone through a divorce. I've gone through other things. So like, thank God nothing was on the line there.
Yes.
I wasn't responsible for any of that stuff. So that worked out fine. Now that he's ready to step out is now that all the paperwork's being done to kind of be the owner and take over. The only thing that he really does is like a lot of the money stuff. So that's the only part that I'm not familiar with. I don't really do a lot of is expenses and like the payroll and anything involving the money. That's always his, and I've always wanted it that way. I just get paid a salary. So the thing is, I told him, I was like, once we do this, but he's already started on his own. Like, once we do this, I want a new accountant. I want a new CPA, tax person. Like, I don't want to deal with, because we had a hard time with that forever.
Interesting.
And we had issues again this year. And he's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to look for a new one, and it can be your tax person, your CPA, if you decide to keep her. But we're moving in that direction now. So all that's getting transitioned, and it's a big thing. Like, it's weird because I'm the type of guy that prefers to just be working. Like if
Yeah.
my dad didn't start this, I don't know where I would be. I don't know if I would just be happy as an employee, because running a business is a whole other headache that I don't know I want. I just kind of fell into it that way, you know.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
rather be working.
Yep. No, that's definitely, I mean, that's definitely, that's where we all came from, right? You all start off working or start off in the field before you go starting your own business. So that's definitely, it's the trade off, right? You're going to have to, if you want to make the investments and, reap the rewards, and you're going to have to learn, I guess, those skills, which that's like what I guess the hardest part, just from some of the stuff that I do, the hardest part is pricing things out or dealing with the numbers. There's nothing worse than being a day or 2 days or wherever you are into a job and being like, I already can tell I didn't quite do this one right.
Yeah.
So just kind of like you said, just all ties back into the experience, just as you go, right? People always ask me, when are you going to start your own business? And it seems like intimidating when I used to first think about it, right? Because I'm just like, geez, I know there's just a whole bunch of avenues and aspects of this game that I just don't know yet, right? But just as I've been kind of getting the wheels turning, I think that's one of the main things you have to do before you kick it off and launch something, is kind of start to get the wheels turning in the background, get some things in place, maybe line up some potential clients, maybe completely unrelated from, my
Yeah.
company's clients that they already have, right? Because like, where would I start? Are do you start off just with a residential company? Do I try to find some like small one or two light commercial clients? Like, you just those things, I always am kind of got turning in the background. Like what do I think I want to do in the next 5 years or 10 years? I don't know.
I mean, it's possible to go about it in many different ways or routes. The good thing is you can build that just by on people, right? Networking and relationships and all that kind of stuff, because that always comes into play when you kind of need that, when you go on your own and you need some work. Some people already know you and can help you out there. I'm networking with other companies here that do the same thing, just because, it doesn't hurt, right? Other trade,
No.
your supply house, your anybody that is involved in any shape, way, or form into HVAC or something related. And you never know, stuff pops off. I have a buddy, like I said, the one that started his own thing. He didn't know what he was going to do. He's like, I don't know. And maybe I'll come work for you for a bit while I figure things out. But like, as soon as he like mentioned that he left and that he was going to do his own thing, he already had inquiries, and, not doing much advertising. He's getting a lot of work just from people seeing him around, word of mouth, all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely possible. But like I said, I go back to like, I don't know if I would have started one, I probably would have been, because there's nothing wrong with also just working somewhere and you get benefits, you get good pay, they treat you well. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's probably the type of person I would have been, honestly, for a while, until I figured out if I wanted to or not. I just got thrown into it really early. Like I said, I like fixing things. So I've always done other stuff too. Like I used to fix electronics, like smartphones, laptops, like that's stuff that I was good at too. And I learned it. I got into it. And I used to do other things where it was like an entrepreneurship type of deal. I even joke around now that everybody always loves our designs and loves our wraps. And I'm like, and they're like, who does it for you? I'm like, I do everything. I literally sit here in Photoshop and do all this stuff. And then I just go get it printed. Right. So I could have been a graphic designer in another life or something, you know?
No, for sure. I mean, yeah, you definitely have a ton to offer. I mean, just like, I don't want to go without saying this. Like, us in the trades appreciate guys like you. I mean, like what you have to offer. It's just a podcast. I mean, all the different avenues of podcasts. I mean, HVAC Nights is a completely different podcast than what you have here, completely different styles, both very needed in the space, so just like, having guys like yourself and on the content side too. I always been DMing you private, like that content creator series, like a ton of people love that. People always are asking me content questions. I just forward them directly to that. The answers that you want are out there, so that's super cool. We definitely appreciate you for that.
I'm glad that it helps because, going to AHR for a few years, it's cool to see everybody out there. I'm so annoyed that I missed you because I know we had talked about it. And it felt rushed.
No, I for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, next year, because it's in Chicago. I don't know if you're going to go or not, but I wasn't. And then I was like, you know what? We should, because my girlfriend hasn't been to Chicago. And I was like, yeah, let's enjoy the city and go to AHR and stuff. So probably are going. And I want to make it a point.
You can't miss it.
I want to make it a point to just have one day where I'm not doing anything. I'm just hanging around. So that'll be, I made that mistake last year of just saying yes to everything. And I was like, shit, I have too many things. And I thought I had time, but I'm sure you realize getting from one booth to another just is hard, right? Like running around, trying to catch people, all that kind of stuff. It takes time.
No, definitely. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be there next year. Yeah, we were just passing. I know I was seeing you guys with the going live on the pod and stuff. That was definitely a cool experience. I was luckily able to just free roam. I just my accounts were just kind of like starting to blow up and whatnot. So I was getting
which is funny because you like what you mentioned about the creator series. Like you had asked me a few things about working with these like your company or some company, and I was like, why don't you do some of this content, right? Because I was like, you're doing really well. Like I did like the videos that you were putting out, and you've come a long way because now you've gotten comfortable doing it, and the consistency is always a hard part, like posting more and more.
Yes. Yep.
So it's good to see.
No. Yeah, AHR was the best. I mean, I was able just to I was only supposed to go originally one day. The first day my boss was like, hey, we got my company, MCI, he also owns that coupling system. So two separate companies, but he promotes that company at places like AHR, right? So he's like, hey, we're going to have an RCS booth. I'm going to be there, if you wanted to go walk around the expo and kind of see if there's any other tools or anything that we could buy at this company that will make our lives easier. So I'm like, you want me to go to Vegas and roam around all day and find tools for you to buy? Like, yeah, I can do that for sure. And then so as I announced that I was coming to that, then I found out about the Tactical Awards show. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it, but I was able to rearrange my schedule to be able to stay all 3 days. And that just absolutely changed my whole trajectory of my content and whatnot. Just every day was just a new conversation, meeting my fellow content creators and just being face to face with some of these brands. It really, like I said, changed the trajectory of what I had.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Had you known about AHR prior to that, or did you find out right before?
I found out like a couple months before. He's like, hey, there's this expo, it's the biggest one, and I'm like, yeah, I'm there. For sure.
So your boss is the one that was like telling you about it.
Yeah, no. So my boss, he's like a little bit older than me, right? His dad has owned our company since like 1994, right? But my boss has been going like the last 5 or 6 of them.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, he just like a month before he asked me, do you want to tag along? He's like, cause I'm going to be at the booth, the RCS booth the entire time. So I don't have time to go like see whatever new innovations and whatnot's out there. So if you want to be my eyes and ears out there, and I'm like, yeah. So, and we did, I found a bunch of stuff that we could use on our commercial application, just, cause we have a full sheet metal shop. We have, a full service department. That's when I was able to connect up with like a lot of these people, a lot of the brands I didn't even know about or wasn't familiar with, and being able to just connect up with them. I think next year I'm going to be the opposite. No free time. I'm going to have to go run around and, do all that.
Yeah. And I do like how more mainstream it is now, like where they are asking a lot of guys like, hey, would you like to, come by the booth and do something, and makes it just, a fun event to go to. So I do appreciate that part because I did do a few booths, and it's always fun, right? To interact with
Yeah.
people, be like asked to do these things. It's kind of cool. So
Yeah.
what
Being
threw me what
recognized. I mean, it's awesome.
what threw me off was like you had not really done much, right? You had just started your page. You had asked me about doing some stuff, and I told you should do it. And then all of a sudden, I see you pumping out content over there. So you did do quite a bit, regardless, in your visit there, your time there. Real quick,
Yeah.
did you go around and just because I don't think I've asked a lot of the guys because there was a lot more creators this time around. Did you go around and just kind of ask to film, or did you tell them, if they wanted to work on anything? Like, how did you kind of, because people always ask me that they're a little intimidated to film in public
Yeah.
and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I was absolutely intimidated. I mean, like the first week, just like, prior to recording this, the week before that, I overthought everything. I mean, I'm looking at just like the same thing. Again, just had the same setup you had on the content creator series. I got just 2 or 3 whiteboards right here with just lined out deliverables. But prior to having that lined out, I just had a list, like 30 different booths, all the booths. I went through like the list of people, the list of all the vendors that were going to be there, and every one that I know, Ambro, Jobber, JB, RCS, I hit every booth, Malco, LE Tech, and just checked them all out, and would just basically same thing, my name's Jason Gamboa. I'm starting out some content creation. This is what I do. This is kind of my following. Would you guys be open to collaborating, or is there anybody from that department here? Like I said, at first I was like a little bit intimidated, but after 2 or 3, you realize that all these people do is say, yeah, this is the person right here. I'll introduce you right now. Like you overthink it for no reason, and you just can get in there, start recording. Some of my best pieces of content were just me, boom, one take, recording it, boom, right there. And that's what they like to see. Because again, like these brands, they want to see guys like us demonstrating the product, not some guy in a collared shirt in a studio in a perfect environment with a brand new tool. They want to see guys like this, like, does it really work? I mean, people ask all the time, like about Ambro and whatnot. They're like, oh, how do they really work? Everybody is weary about them. But as I've got to try them, like, yeah, they are definitely a super,
Oh yeah.
a solid option, just different things all around, so but yeah, so I just kind of networked with everybody I could, tried to meet as many people as I could, and seen a ton of my fellow content creators. And that was one thing I wanted to mention. So like I got lucky that I reached out to just the people that I was watching on my personal social media for just, years. Obviously I've had my own personal account before I started Jason on the Job. And so I reached out to yourself. I reached out to Bobby, Blue Collar Code. I was going to tie that in back to like having like a good mentor, just like my foreman, or having guys like you or Bobby, like to give that information. There's not a lot of guys that want to give that information, right? They're gatekeepers of the information, right? Whether it's a foreman on the job who thinks, if I give this guy all the information that he's going to pass me, or even content creators like giving you the information on how to deal with these brands or what they're experiencing. They might think like they might see each other as rivals, right? As competitors, right? But when you think that like we are stronger together, I think I tried to relay that same information that I've got that people have given to me to the newer content creators. I mean, just having people now be like, hey, I started my page because of you, and I click on their stuff and they got, thousands of followers. And I'm like, wow, things are really coming full circle. So just trying to just give that information because like I said, people don't want to talk like prices or just really like the nitty gritty. And so, like I said, just being able to understand your value, because these marketing, these brands, like part of their job is to lowball you. I mean, if they can get you to do this stuff for free, if they can get you to do this stuff for free, then they're going to do it. And so like I've had, like, just to wrap that point up, like there's been times where people have asked to do stuff for free, and when you know your value, then you can say, hey, no, I think it's worth this dollar amount. And they will reply instantly like, yeah, you're right. Like basically they knew that what you were worth, and they just want to see if you're going to have, the guts to ask for it. Same thing when you're at the booths, you just need to go for it. That's the kind of the part with the content creation. You have to be able to speak up a little bit. That's part of it. Being able to communicate with the audience, being able to communicate with everybody. Communication ties back into like everything.
Oh yeah. And, yeah, and what I always tell people, or what I always respond to those emails or DMs from companies, with my pricing, and then some of them will straight up tell me like, that's not what they wanted to pay or this and that. I'm like, look, you reached out to me. I was like,
Yep.
I didn't need this, right? So I always do
Yeah.
that, and then more times than not, because what I always try to tell people that are doing content creation, like when you get into it, I mean, you're not gonna get a whole lot. I mean, I
Nope.
think I I think it's great to see a lot of the younger generation. I don't know a lot of them. Like you said, I think there's levels to this now. I feel like, there was a few creators and then more came out, and now the younger generation is kind of seeing like you and Ewok and a whole bunch of other
Mhm.
ones that have come up and getting advice from you guys. But they're growing rapidly. They're doing well. They're working with companies, and they don't have a huge following either, right? It's more, like I said earlier, mainstream or welcome now. It's more common. And it's funny because I tell companies, like, I didn't reach out. You reached out to me. Like, you wanted something,
Yeah.
obviously. So either we negotiate or work something out, or we don't. Like, I don't need it. And
Yeah.
some of these companies forget that we have day jobs, right? Like, this isn't
Yeah.
easy to do for any of us because we actually have to work and then come home and work again.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, just the time for since I've started this, people are like, dude, you are just in your phone or in your computer all day. And it's just like, I guess that's just part of it, right? But like certain, brands or whatnot, they just, yeah, expect the same thing as some of these other customers out that, they just make an introduction to you and they want, something the next week and they want to review it and they want to do all that.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that's not how,
I had
I like to
one.
operate.
Yeah, I had one that was a pretty well known one now, and they're actually working with big YouTube channel. And then they came to me and they wanted something cheap, and I was like, you know what, it's for a good cause. I'll work with you guys, this and that. Then they text me again and they're like, hey, we're changing the terms to $30 a video. And I was like, you know what? Hard pass. Like I just don't have the time for that. Like, again, I wanted to help out because it was like a school type thing. I was like, I'll give you guys, some content. I think it'll help some of the kids out that are looking for trade school and different ways to get their learning. But there's a certain point where, because I'm like, I literally was just talking about that this morning with my girlfriend. Like, I had like, I have my monthly sponsors, I have my commitments, and that's a job in itself, trying to just be on top of it. Like, I have a whiteboard too with all my markings and crossing
Yeah.
outs and everything, trying to keep tab of payments and what content's out. Like, it's a whole thing. And I
We
just
have to chase
recently
them
had,
just like chasing customers.
yeah, I gotta follow. I'm like, I did this all day at work, making sure what gets paid and this and that. Then I get home and I gotta email all these people, hey, where's my check? Hey, content's up already, follow up, whatever. And make sure you provide all they want a list of like all the links that went up or the content, or sometimes they'll ask for
Yeah.
analytics and stuff. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's a whole business by itself. But just recently, I'm not overwhelmed. Like, I have most of it done, but I had 3 companies that want content all done by like the next 2 weeks. I'm like, shit. Okay. So I got to like make sure all that gets done, and it pushes my schedule around, and like it's a whole thing. So it's a lot of work, but I mean, it does pay. I mean, you've talked to guys, I've talked to guys. If you're serious about it, it's a whole other job. There's perks to it. If you like a company, the very
And
least you'll get some of the tools,
yeah,
there's different ways.
it's not so easy, like at first, like just coming from like not being a content creator, just a personal guy that was just a guy that would just post on Instagram, every few months, right? Like you really start to get into the editing. There is time that goes into it. And not only that too, like one of the main things that I would try to recommend people, I know it's just like when you're first starting out, you're right. You want to kind of, you think somebody wants to offer you, maybe a few $100s and you want to jump on that. But like the main thing is being authentic, right? So you can't just, showcase things that you really don't stand behind. Now, that's one thing I love about your content is like you will certainly have a product and just give it your honest truth. I mean, going like back to the NAVAC thing or whatever, like a lot of people will be like, no, like regardless, it's the best tool ever. And, that's why you need to get it. People will sniff that out a mile away, so being able to just have that authenticity to just stand behind what you're saying. Cause again, like the brands, I mean, they don't understand like that we have the respect of our peers, right? So if we say something's decent, I mean, like I said, I've been going back and forth with you guys on the probes, like, and I've been waiting for somebody just
Oh
to tell
yeah.
me one way or the other, what route I need to go. And so it's just like because there's not one manufacturer is not the end all be all for everything. Like what I like to do is have the best of all, of everything. So that means
Oh, I know. even though I work with some companies, like my whole truck is not going to be one brand. And I
Yeah.
tell them all the
Yeah.
time, like, you know, I might have a certain tool for somebody else, but if you're cool with that and you want to pay for something, by all means, that's fine, right? And I get questions too. I just got questions before the weekend started, like, I saw that you use this, I saw that you use that, or whatever tools they see in my tool bag, and they're like, I can't find it. What is that tool? So I tell them, and I don't have affiliates with any of these things. It's just stuff that I use. And the only thing that's going to be in my tool bag is stuff that I actually use every day. So I always try to tell people, like, everything you see in my videos or that I recommend is like stuff that I actually use. Still debating on the probes, but we're trying them out. The Navac ones, and I've tried the fill piece and the JBs. I'll figure out something by the end of the summer to stick to, but yeah, I have like fill piece manifolds and,
Yep.
you know, Hillmore tools of other sorts, like a bender or something, right? Like I have different brands in my truck, and that's what it's about. Like
Everything
the
works
guys that
differently. I mean, they all just are different, you know.
yeah,
I
it's
like a lot
whatever
of
works
different
best,
tools. Yeah.
whatever works best for you. I don't think any company makes the perfect, like
Anything.
every tool is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how are you
Oh,
liking
for
the
sure.
content, then? You've been posting quite a bit. You've been getting into it more.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, like I said, it's an entire business in itself. So like there really is just, you always feel, or at least me, there's always just another deadline, right? Another deadline, another thing to post. But no, I love it. I mean, being able to, like I said, connect up with all the different content creators, you find yourself in these different like group chats and whatnot with people that again, like I used to always like and message, before I had a following or anything, you would never, cause like I said, these people are businesses. We get hundreds of messages a day. So like, being able to just have some of these guys' phone numbers, being able to just call and connect up with them, just certain opportunities, being able to just banter and, exchange war stories and whatnot, podcasts, just AHR. I mean, besides just the things that AHR, was able to do for me. I mean, what an experience it was, just ripping around. Everybody was just, dressed to the nines, just ready just to, have a good time, get to chat, talk shop. So that's one of my favorite things, being able to just showcase what you do, because you really don't realize it like that. There's so many different, like I said, avenues of way you can go with this. I like watching residential guys do their content stuff. I
Yeah.
like watching, chiller maintenance techs do their thing. I mean, there's just so much different avenues. People love watching helicopter sets, so it's like there's so many different ways you can do it. My favorite thing has got to be like when, like, sometimes it takes 2 hours maybe to edit and record a video and it doesn't do the performance you want it to. But then there's other videos like I did not too long ago where an electrician had just blew a screw right into one of our coils on a brand new unit.
Oh yeah.
And I just filmed it, boom, 20 seconds, no editing, just threw a couple captions over it. And that thing like went viral, like almost 1 million views in a week. And it's just like, sometimes it's just like, bam, it's that like adrenaline or that dopamine that viral something can give you. I just remember my first viral video that like really I gained thousands of followers. I swear off this one video. Like I remember when that was happening and I just was like, what is going on? That was the day I had to silence my notifications from that day forward just because my phone was just overheating almost. And yeah, so,
Yeah.
and then just kind of being able to retool it. I started off doing this. And so I'm always watching these other guys, seeing how, those younger guys, they love to do their day in the life of the 20-year-old HVAC tech, so you can kind of just see these things and try to buy, one thing I hate about is like when other creators will be like, I can see them talking or chatting like, oh, you stole that idea from me. Like part of it, guys, is like just, it's these trends, right? So if it's the catchy song
Oh
or
yeah.
whatever it is, you jump on the trend, you want to get on it. Don't feel like you're stealing. You make it your own. Make it, you're not going to copy it maybe word for word, but there's, templates and there's all that out there for a reason. Make it your own, make it funny, make it you. But again, it's all just rinse and repeat, same thing.
There's only so much you can do. And I saw that more like on TikTok, and TikTok is more of like a trendy app, like whatever the trend is, everybody does it. So there's no
Mm-hmm.
argument for that there, but I've seen that. And that's why personally, I always try to keep changing what I do just so it's not always the same thing. So I always like to
Yep.
experiment and try different things, different angles, different places, different kinds of content. I used to do the memes. That's actually, I think, what grew my account was like the meme stuff, and it was always like
And I want to do
relatable.
that stuff too. I just like, those, you're right. Those are the ones you see with like so many likes and shares and, and sends. And, it just, yeah, you just gotta, like, I always feel like, that's not my style. And so, that might
Yeah.
deter my followers. But really, I think it just builds your followers more. You grab that audience and you grab your audience you already have and you just bring them all together, really. I mean,
You just
that's
have
why I
to be
love going live and
careful.
whatnot.
Yeah, you just have to be careful because I feel like I didn't want to be known for that. So I kind of I
Yeah.
got tired of it. I got tired of it, so I
Yeah.
did something
No.
else. Then I tried it again a few times, and they didn't even those views weren't even that great. So I was like, yeah, maybe it
Yeah.
was a trend. I don't know. At some point, I might get bored and start doing them again. I have no idea. It's just it's always good to do different things. Like you said, you get different audiences sometimes because I never fully understood social media until recently because you have guys, and they're great because I can't. There's some content that I just can't do. I don't have the patience for. I
Hmm.
don't want to. I don't want to teach. I don't want to do all that. And there's some guys that
Hmm.
are coming up that are really good at explaining a thermostat, a transformer, just something
Yep.
simple. And those videos pop off. And I never would have thought that would have
Yep.
happened, right? So you never know, which is why I always tell people if you're first year apprentice, if you're a filter changer, if you're whatever, just film your day in the life and post it.
Yeah, I was talking to some guys the other day, and I was just like, man, they were asking, like, we were just talking about content one night. I was like, how many tradesmen are out there that have like so much gold on their phone just because everything when something goes crazy or
Oh
something
yeah.
goes awry or whatever it is, maybe it's beautiful or whatever like the situation is, people do capture a lot of stuff on their phones these days. Now they don't always post it. I mean, like I said,
I
my
have
pops and
some
brothers, they're
really
not on social media, but they're always
yeah,
posting stuff, and so like I always just think about who has those gold mine clips of just things gone wrong or whatnot just
bro.
on their phone. If they knew to post that, they might go viral themselves right there.
Bro, I have I probably still have them somewhere, but I probably had them more on like an older phone. I have so many crazy things that I like took pictures of at work, but they're like shit quality, so you can't even make out too much of it.
Yeah.
So those are really
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
photos, and that's kind of
Yeah.
what I wanted to do. But like I said, my clientele kind of changed, so I don't do. I kind of walk away from some of those things now, so I don't even like attempt that kind of work. But it is what it is, right? Everybody's day has value to somebody that's in their shoes or like about to be in that position, right? Somebody that's looking for a job and they want to know what it's actually like in the field or what it's like
Yeah.
to do this or that. Like that's valuable to somebody.
Absolutely. I mean, just day to day, I mean, people might be, like I said, intimidated. Maybe new equipment might intimidate them, something they haven't seen before. But when they see just a normal guy like me or you who doesn't claim to know everything or whatever, show this the rawness and how, it's just a day to day life. You're going to figure it out. Nothing's going to be perfect. You're never just going to be able to just walk right up and boom, figure it out in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
These days are going to be like this. You can never just hope that those things are going to stop happening because, like, that is going to happen your entire career. That's just how you overcome it, right? So
Yeah, I still get comments on some videos that I did about like some heatcraft issues I had, and it's just one of those things where like you don't see a lot of people posting about those and that's what was different when I started was like, me and a few guys that were posting like mistakes or like stuff that
yep.
went wrong because you didn't see that a lot, especially like on Instagram. You saw it sometimes on YouTube and stuff, and it's different now. Like everybody just posts whatever. I saw somebody
Yeah.
freezing their hand off of a leaky Schrader the other day, and I'm like, that was a rough one to watch. But
Interesting. Interesting.
everybody will post anything now, so it's a lot different.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it right now. The one that blew me up on Instagram was the dumbest thing. It was well, not dumb, but like it was my manifold, and somebody had recommended these little clips that you get at Home Depot, and they're like they're called clicks or something. I was just using them to hold my wires on the clamps on my S-mans because I didn't want them hanging. Just use that. You clip it on and it stays on. I use them also now for my hoses and stuff, like the bigger ones. They're like these little
Yeah.
locking clips. That thing got like a shit ton of views and I had a shit ton of followers from that. And I thought it was like the dumbest video, but you never know.
You never know. I mean, I was just scrolling the other day and I came across like some dude and he was like a fitness content creator, he was up there. He had like, almost 1 million followers, whatever the hell he had. But he was talking about, just, you have to just post it. You see so much of that stuff that's in your drafts and you think that's dumb or maybe it's a mistake or whatever it is. And even if it's not related, that's what he was getting at is he was a fitness guy. guy, all into motivation and whatnot. But his most viral reel, 10 million plus views, was just him one day testing a Coke Zero at the gas station. Like he just said, I bought it. Everybody was just talking about it, this new Coke Zero, or
Oh
like a
yeah.
vanilla Coke Zero or something like that. And he's like, it went super viral. And he's like, you just never know, you know? So sometimes, you know, if it's the weekend or whatever, you know, you could post maybe like Monday through Friday. I try to post, you know, just like a certain, not a certain thing, but like on the weekends, I'll post kind of more just looser, more raw, just kind of more yourself type of things, right? So if that, you know, if you could fill in with that for sure, you know, but the one thing too is like, don't burn yourself out. I mean, that's almost what I found myself doing is like, when things start taking off, you feel like, man, I don't want this to end or whatever. So I got to stay on. I want to post like once a day, twice a day. I mean, I remember there was this one kid that, you know, I kind of watch and he's kind of still coming up. He was telling me, I'm just starting out, man. I really want my page to take off. I'm posting 10 times a day. And I was just like, shoot, am I not posting enough? Because I thought
Yeah.
like one day, like
Yeah.
6 days a week, like one a day was like almost a lot. And I was like kind of okay with maybe like if I can get 5 posts out of 7 days a week, I would be okay. And so again, just seeing like, you know, the stuff that he'll post, it really is just a lot of maybe 15 seconds talking to the phone. So not necessarily my style, right? But he's getting the volume out there. Again, it's just, I guess, finding your niche, right? Some people, you know, they're able to just do a quick 20 seconds talking to the phone, whatever it is, tech, motivation, and that's kind of their thing. And it hits, you know, for sure. It's just, you know, I guess you got to find your niche, right?
Yeah, I have a hard time with that. Well, I've been doing content for companies for a while now. I used to get in trouble for going too long. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. Like I'm a YouTuber. I'm used to having like 10 to 20 minutes to tell a story or to explain
Yeah.
myself. And coming over to Instagram, trying to do TikTok and stuff, they're like, we need a minute. We need a minute and 30 seconds. Like you're taking too long. I used to get in trouble with some of my companies. And I'm like, all right, I got to learn how to chop it up or talk quicker or just get to the point. Like there's no fluff on social media. So that took me a while to figure out. It's funny because one of them was like, dude, you like we always screw around with each other. And he's like, dude, you just talk too fucking much. He's like, cut it out. He's like, if you do that again, we're not going to use you. And this, I was like, all right, I'll cut it down. I think even, and it was funny because some of them I would submit and they had a 3 minute time limit at the time. I would go like 3 minutes, 15 seconds or 20 seconds or whatever. And then they would use my content on their page and I would see it like just chopped to hell.
Hard stop.
And I was like, I didn't do that. I was like, okay, I get the point. So I'll make sure to be better. I thought that too about the posting several times because you see a lot of them. And it's like post 3 times a day, post 5 times a day. And I'm like, shit. I was like, is that what social media is? And I got to a point, like you said, like you don't want to get burnt out. So I got to a point where I'm just going to post how I feel like if I feel like posting once a day, if I feel like posting every other day, if I want to take a few days off, you know, it's for your mental state. And then you also do HVAC during the day. Like you gotta put some boundaries here. Cause even right now, like I know people ask me all the time, how do you do the podcast? How do you do the social media, the YouTube, the running a business? I was like, yeah, I don't sleep. I was like, that's my problem right
I'm
now.
wondering too.
I'm trying to work on my sleep right now. And it's a lot of me scheduling stuff and having these cutoff times. So like I only work on content certain nights. I only do this podcast on the weekends when I record them. Like I have to have rules in place to not get burnt out. You're going to have companies asking you for a ton of stuff. You got to tell them either
No.
no or I'll get to it when I get to it, you know?
Yeah, no, you definitely got to have, I mean, that happens all the time. Just like recently, you know, somebody reached out and I basically had to like revise their whole entire ask, basically. And I said, like, for this is like more traditional and this is, you know, kind of on the more like what I guess even other contractors, this is like kind of this the structure of what you're going to see. You know, the prices can change, but like just as far as the format of what you're asking, you know, you need to be able to put your foot down on that for sure.
What Vito bag are you currently rocking? Well, I'm asking because I already know you use the Vito. What tool bag do you use? Like your kind of favorite?
Yeah, so my favorite right now is I just picked up this is the TPLDP right here. This is just like one of their open top bags. I got
Oh,
this thing set in here because I'm actually, yeah, so this is just one of the open top bags, just no, you know, no particular setup, just kind of install and service right here. I got that puppy right here because I'm actually going to be doing a giveaway. So one of these exact ones right here. So, you know, you guys can stay tuned for that, you know, here in the next few days or so. But yeah, TPLDP, my first Vito bag was the Tech LC. That was what I got, like maybe, like I said, going back to being prepared. I mean, 2 weeks onto the job when I switched from the sheet metal install to kind of commissioning and startup with those guys. Within the first couple of weeks, I was like, what's that tool bag? And he had a Tech LC. So bam, I grabbed that. And like I said, that was 5 years ago. And so that thing is still rocking. Besides, I think my zippers, the couple of the tabs on the zippers have broken off. But other than that, I mean, I've completely loaded that thing up for sure. But this one right here, it was getting too heavy. I mean, because I'm all about like shoving anything that could fit in that
Yeah.
bag, I would shove into that bag. So I think it got to like 30 pounds, that thing. So I was just like, I cannot be hugging this thing around up 50-foot ladders and whatnot. So swapping over from this, definitely lighter. I keep reaching for things that aren't in this bag that were in my other bag, right? But that's my favorite bag for right now. I mean, that hose hauler, I didn't really think I needed the hose hauler at first. I'm like, that's kind of seems like maybe a little bit unnecessary, but just going from having the hoses kind of just hanging everywhere,
Yeah.
hanging up in the van or hanging up, or just now I have all of my vacuum hoses, spare hoses, charging hoses. And then you kind of gave me that idea to throw the scale in there, how it fits. The scale can fit in there nicely.
Oh yeah,
So now
because
I
you have
got
the
that
same one.
yeah, that red, white, and blue Infiscon scale, that thing slips right in there. So that was, that's one of my favorite setups right now for sure.
People do that with their scales, but I think they have less room. They have to take out that middle pouch. But the Infocon one is so sleek that you can still have everything else the way it's supposed to be and just shove it in there. The hose hauler
the case it comes with is bulky.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not carrying that suitcase around. But the hose hauler is always an easy recommendation for me because you don't think about it. I think I told Vito when it was coming out, because they asked me what I was using before. I was like, I was using a pack out bag, just kind of shoved everything in there. But I'm like, it takes too much space for what's in it. It's just hoses and fittings. So the hose hauler kind of solved all that because you can kind of throw that anywhere. Even in my truck right now, it's just squeezed in between a couple of pack outs because it's so thin. So it works out.
Yeah, I got mine right behind my seat. So I know everybody, HVAC Disciple, Andrew, he went super viral for the MB4B oxyacetylene loadout, right? I was like, I call that thing the Disciple loadout now. But you are right, though. Vito, I mean, those are the things you can expect to see at like an AHR. Maybe not that specifically, but like that was the best part is we were seeing products in February that are now still coming out. Like I know you guys got the battery, or I think Jake did, the Milwaukee recovery machine, and I was posting the DeWalt vacuum pump, it's there. I'm just saying, like, there's products that are showcased early in the year that still haven't even came out yet. But I was like, I would not be surprised if, maybe next year or the year after we can get a dedicated Vito like torch bag, whether it's going to fit oxyacetylene. Because I know the MB4B fits. It is work perfect, but it would be slick to get an official little setup. Maybe if it's a smaller one.
That reminds me, I'll have to text my guy because I had that years ago. I don't want to put him on blast, but I had that years ago, and they were real iffy on it. I was like, all right, just you wait. And sure enough, here comes Disciple. Some other guys that have been doing it. I'm like, and I'm just here like, I told you so. So maybe they'll do it now.
No, that's like one of the main thing people always ask about, like that setup for sure. I got an MB3B for the Ambro, but it was almost just a little bit too big. And so I saw you had the MB2B that kind of fits a little bit bigger. So I was like, I'm going to have to try that out. So
it's snug. The bigger tanks, but I don't know how readily available. I don't know. Like the only thing I've told Ambro is I can't get the nitrogen locally. And I haven't seen the bigger tanks yet. So, but for like the regular skinny tank that they have, it fits perfect and it's fine. Even the bigger one that they sent over, it does fit. It's just real snug. So they have more coming. I'll talk about it later, but they have some cool stuff coming out. They are interested in that, probably because of Disciple, to be honest. They're interested now in that torch kind of bag if they can do one. And I think because there is Velocity that is trying to do that too. So it's like, who's going to do it first,
Yeah, who's going to do it first? I already know who's going to do it the best, but who's going to do it first? That's one thing too. No, for sure. I'm definitely interested in that. That's the one thing I love about Vito. I mean, if you really, there's 1,000 different bags, for just every different setup, whether I had a big hard case for my RCS press tool, and I was just getting annoyed having to put that where I had to put it, like in my back. So I had to climb in the bed of my truck every time to get it right. Now that thing fits in the MB3B that I got for the Ambros. So just, you just never know. I was sitting on it for like a couple months and I was like, you know what? This is boom, the perfect setup for it. And so kind of outfit it, set it up. But even bags like this, I mean, like over the months or over the years, like your bag will change. Same as your van or same as your truck. Like, you'll be doing installs maybe for a few months and you got all that stuff towards the front, as things change, different scopes, different whatever it is, your setups are always going to be able to change. And that's what I love doing too. Like I spend a lot of my weekends, just kind of retooling the truck, resetting up
Oh
the
yeah.
garage, because I kind of got my garage set up similar to probably how you have it. It's basically my shop, it has all my spare parts or tools that I can't always carry necessarily on the truck. So just kind of, you always got to just set your time away to kind of just dial your craft in, reset, retool. I know everybody's, not the same as far as like how they keep their rigs organized. I'm kind of like a weekly, like I said, organizer. Some guys keep it clean every
Oh
single
yeah.
day, all day. It's never out of shape. I'm more of like, come Friday afternoon, my truck is like blown to crap. But, come Monday when we start it back up, it'll be straightened back out, ready to roll for sure.
I mean, it doesn't have to be every day. I get it. But a clean
Yeah.
truck or van, and that's kind of the thing that I want to tell some people is, because even hiring people right now, like I get it. You clock in, you clock out. I don't expect anything else from you guys, but there's little things you can do in your free time to help you be more efficient, work better, present yourself better, right? In front of either the owner, your fellow technicians, or a customer. Customers come out to your van too sometimes. So having a clean van makes a big difference. I think everybody should do that. And it just takes
100%.
a little bit of time on your weekend, right? Don't be that guy rolling around with tools everywhere. Can't find a part to save your life that you have in there. So, just clean it up.
I was going to ask you too, just real quick, not really relatable, but do your guys take their trucks home or do you make them drop it off or what?
No, they take them home. So we just, my last van, the guy just picked it up. That dire need of an upgrade because he was our latest guy that we brought on. He was in an Astro van. I don't know if you've ever been in one of those, the tiny ones.
I haven't, but I've seen them all around, little tiny guys. See, that's one.
So
I had the full stand up.
Yeah, we have 2 Astros that are like our backups that we're now using. Like when a new guy comes in, he'll use that for a little bit until we get a proper van. So I'm sure he's very stoked. He's been asking for a bigger van for a while. So
that's awesome.
They all take them home. So we have, like I said, several vans out there now. The only one that doesn't have one is a helper, but he rides with somebody and is a helper basically.
Yeah, and the opportunity's there when he's ready.
Yeah, we're always getting new vans and stuff. So we're gonna finish wrapping up 2 other ones, I think, and then we'll have our fleet out there. We're trying to plan everything out.
Hell yeah, nice, hell yeah.
So your company that you work for also does those. Is it called RCS?
Yes, refrigerant coupling systems. Yes, so they're just a mechanical. Go ahead with your question first.
No, I just want to kind of shout that out a little bit because it's very different, very unique. I've only seen you on social media use it. Well, you use it a lot for your...
I mean, everything I can, so like just part of it being like one of our companies, I would say like under the same umbrella as my owner, right? He, we're always trying to showcase it as much as we can, right? So that's almost was the intent behind my social media at first. Was like, I'm going to start to kind of showcase this, right? So yes, refrigerant coupling systems, they're just a mechanical fitting. It's basically, we use it for a ton of our VRV, VRF work. Comes in all the different sizes you would need, I think all the way up to 2 and 5H. So we're using it sometimes for just some of our lighter industrial stuff, low temp stuff. Not really ready for med gas stuff yet, but people are using it in the plumbing industry, for the refrigerant industry. People are installing it all over the country in Canada already. So we definitely got some big things coming. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't something I was familiar with before I got into the trade, so I definitely can appreciate. I could see its uses. I mean, being able to just press and go and insulate and just, move along, a lot of stuff on the commercial side. When you're brazing, they will require the hot work permit. They will require all of those things, an hour fire watch and whatnot. So just being able to avoid some of that stuff and just continue on. And I do trust it. I mean, like the guy, my foreman, like I said, is 65 years old. He's been in the trade 35 plus years. He started like a year at this company. He came like a year or 2 when I was already here. He was not having it. He was like, there's no way. I will never use press fittings. That stuff's junk. There's just no way. Brazing is, what I've been doing for 30 plus years. And there's just no way I could see myself switching over. And sure enough, that guy's pressing everything he can now too. You know what I mean? So I always try to like wish I could just, I was thinking about doing some sort of content with him, like as a test subject, like just being able to, cause like I said, he was not having it at first and he'll swear by it now too. So like, yeah, I mean, those things, they're rated at over 1500 PSI. Like I know they test it, the bench test, so they rated at 1500, but their burst test was like way over that, so it's definitely a solid option. That's the only press I've used. I haven't used some of the other stuff. I know they got the Vega and all the other stuff that I've
So
seen
is
at
that,
HR.
yeah. And you said that it's the same company that you work for or under the same company. So is that your boss's, like, is that his product that he
Yeah, so
has or
he owns
came
the
out with?
patent on that. So yes, yeah.
Okay.
So I think they purchased a patent on it like however many years ago, right? So they kind of just been developing it and just kind of
Yeah.
honing it in as over the last. But I know it's been around, at least definitely 10+ years or whatever. I mean, I've
That's
seen
cool.
some of the stuff that we still service now. So like a lot of the stuff
Oh,
I
okay.
do in Sacramento, there's a large Air Force base, McClellan Air Force Base. We've had a ton of work over there over the past like 20, 30 years. There's some equipment that we installed, over 10 years ago, 15 years ago with those RCS fittings. So just I know people are skeptic and people, who've came
Yeah.
from the brazing background, they're not for it. I know even people give me crap all the time, but I can just say like, it does come down to installation, right? If it's installed properly, it's going to do its job. And that's just, that's
And I
just what
have,
because when it comes to brazing, like I love brazing. I'm not saying it's the end all be all. Like I love brazing too, just as much as the next guy. Sometimes you need to braze. I mean, when it comes to a lot of service repairs, you can't press, you can't press repair stuff. You need to have that tool in your bag. But being able to just have that as an option to just cut out a piece, boom, boom, I can just go cut a piece off the tailgate, bring it up and boom, press it and I'm gone, so it has its options for sure. It has its uses.
yeah. And I've gotten questions on like stuff that I work on refrigeration. I'm like, I put that thing in, I put press in freezers and all sorts
Yep.
of harsh environments. And as long as, like I said, as long as you do it right, and it's something like anybody, like you try it out, see if you like it, see if it doesn't work, you don't use it anymore. But
So we also like one of the things that RCS, they also like one of their products that they, work with is the rigid sticks of copper, but it's bendable. And so I think it's called like H55 type L copper. So like we have, like I said, all the way up to, like I said, some of that 2 5/8 inch pipe, 19-foot sticks, that's bendable. So
oh,
it's
wow.
rigid pipe. So we use it like I said, a ton of that for our BRB stuff.
And that's cool. I just kind of wanted
Yeah,
to shout him out because I thought it
I
was like
appreciate that.
a unique take on pressing because it's very different from the other ones.
Yeah, I've reached out to a few people, who were interested in, if anybody wanted to try it, I could probably work something out where I can get, like I know you're already kind of just with Nibco and have your own things, but it's something that I feel like if people were to try it and use it and see it, then, that's how you can build trust. I mean, sometimes
Yeah,
you just
try.
have to see it and use it for yourself.
Before we get
Thanks.
off, I wanted to ask you, well, people can find you on Instagram. Are you on, I think you started a YouTube channel too, right?
I am on YouTube. We haven't. I'm just kind of released it. We're gonna try to build some subscribers on there before I kind of release my pilot little project that I kind of got in the works there, right? But predominantly Instagram. That's the best way to communicate with me. TikTok, Jason on the Job. Instagram, Jason on the Job. Everything. Facebook as well. So that's I got.
Oh,
I
yeah.
started my Facebook almost a couple months after my TikTok, and my Facebook now has surpassed my Instagram as far as followers. So I'm like, I don't know how that works. And I think that's just like to touch on that, like you need to have everything, right? Because at first I
Oh, yeah.
thought I didn't need my Facebook or whatever, but it's completely different demographic. Like some of the guys, they only watch me on Facebook. Coworkers, my pops, he doesn't have Instagram. He's a Facebook dedicated guy. So you just make sure, I, I'm
Oh, yeah.
across all platforms right now for sure.
And it's simple, the Facebook. Mine wasn't working for a long time. So barely recently did it start like actually growing because it wasn't working or it wasn't syncing. But Facebook is easy because you can sync it to your Instagram and it'll just
Yeah.
post to both, right? And then you
Yeah.
can go in
Yep.
there and do anything else you want to. But it's easy to do. And like, why not? Because more platforms, more views,
Got
more
to.
audience, right? Like it's only going to help you out.
Got to for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so just kind of want to make sure that people, I'll link everything down below that they can find you if they don't already do. Anything you want to end on like anybody for anything, getting into the trade or getting into content?
Man, yeah, I guess just, you're going to get what you put into it. I mean, that's just for everything. That's for the content side, the trade side, everything. You're going to get what you put into it. So the trade is going to be rough on your body. There's no way around it. You need to be prepared for that. And, you don't need to go to the gym, maybe working out all the time, but you just need to, health is wealth. I try to tell people that all the time,
Take
like
care of your
being
body
high,
though, right? Like kneeling
take care of your
pads,
body.
cover
Yes.
yourself, big hats.
Yes, safety, big on safety. Just make sure you're coming home because there's just nothing worse than like trying to stress out over a job where, you're coming home and you're hurting yourself, or your back's messed up, or your fingers are sliced on, but it's just like, for what? So just take your time, just come into it level headed each day. It's going to be a challenge each and every day. You're going to have to just figure out how to just get through that and just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's probably one of the
Yep.
best, pieces of advice I can give, right? It's just because it's never just going to be just a, sunshine and rainbows just for months and months on time. You're going to get your good days and your gravy days every now and then. So enjoy those when you can get them because, especially in our trade, we're back to back seasons depending on where you live. There's no time for rest sometimes. I mean, there's no time for rest. So you just have to make the time. Like you said, just allot your time, hard stop, and just give yourself those breaks to just reset. Me and Bobby, Blue Collar Coat, we're going live every Monday. Ben from HVAC Tactical just jumped on there last week. Said he's finalizing
Oh,
some
okay.
stuff for content and whatnot. So he said they're going to be getting a couple floors blocked off potentially, at one of the hotels in Chicago. So just,
Well,
definitely stay tuned for that, So it'd be nice to get us all in one kind of area, so we can kind of definitely make sure we connect. I kind of like to refer to that thing as like the creator summit. It's all of us being able
yeah.
to just talk shop and talk, about, what's to come for sure.
Oh, it's cool because I'll run into people and they're not content creators, but we'll talk about HVAC
Mhm.
or shop or
Yeah.
something, our work week or whatever it was. And it's all like-minded people. So it's a great time.
Yep.
All right, man.
I
Well,
appreciate it,
again,
Adrian. This was super fun, bro.
yeah, time flew by. I appreciate you for coming out, taking the time to sit down. I know we're all busy, but great
Yep.
conversation. I think we covered a lot of what I wanted to and just kind of getting to know you and what you're doing on social media.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, very happy to be here, man. Wouldn't miss it for the world, brother.
Everybody watching and listening, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.